pre-match press conference to preview the match against the Mbabane Swallows, who are playing host. Just to remember that they have their press conference later this afternoon, early evening. Coach, just to start, how are the preparations for the match?
Good afternoon to everyone. First, I think we've had a chance to prepare the team over the past few days during the FIFA break. We unfortunately don't have a lot of our Bafana players because they only reported today, which was a little bit of a compromise in our preparation, but I think we have a team that is capable enough to come out and perform in this very critical match. We are playing against the champions of Swaziland, who have got three elements that are very dangerous. They are very good on set pieces, very, very good on set pieces. They are very strong on transition, and you are playing against a very quick team. And that's the normal case when you are playing against these SADC teams. You will remember how we played against Chicken Inn, which is where we identified Divine Lunga. You will remember how Pirates played against Jwaneng, Zanaco, Zesco, and all these teams that are coming from the SADC region. It's always a little bit of a challenge because they are very quick and they play on transition a lot. But I think the team is ready for that because we have done extensive work on looking into their strengths and see which areas of their game can we capitalize on. At this stage, I think the team is ready for the game.
Thank you, Coach. Just your thoughts on the preparations, and as we're walking in, you're talking about a nomination for bronze. If you can touch on that also.
Yeah, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome. Yeah, of course, the team has been preparing well. We know the task that is ahead of us. Playing a very difficult team because watching them playing in the tournament, the pre-season tournament, which was in Mpumalanga, it shows that they're a very good team. And champions, of course, in Swaziland. And we've watched a few clips of them, very dangerous. And you can never underestimate any team. Any team that is playing in the Champions League means that they're good enough, especially that they've gone through to the next stage. We can't underestimate them. We play them like any other team that we play in the Champions League, regardless of who's on the pitch. We must go to the next stage, and I think the guys are ready. We just need to play the game with the right mentality and try and put the team to the group stages. But of course, as we've been speaking with Shupi outside on the nomination of Ronwen, it's incredible. And for a goalkeeper, he's done a fantastic job. It's not easy, especially for an African player to be part of the Ballon d'Or nomination. It's massive. So for me, I'm honored to work with him, and of course the club is very much happy for him, and of course the national team, because he did a great job when he was with Bafana, and he showed leadership. So for me, the nomination means that he's been fantastic, and we hope for the best.
Thank you. We'll open questions to the floor. Please do identify yourself. Thank you. Who will go first?
Oh, Coach, I heard you touching a bit on players who just got back from national duties. Just curious, how do you think they're going to perform, especially mentioning that you are going against one of the teams that are performing very well. So how do you think that they're going to perform this Saturday?
Yeah, my sister, it's the expectation is that whoever gets a chance to play for Sundowns must perform at the level that is expected. But we are fully aware of those that have played the full minutes in the two matches that they were playing during the FIFA break, and the traveling from South Sudan to here, which took its toll on the players. But unfortunately, when you are in a team like Sundowns, you must be prepared to carry that load, which is why even today they had to come back for regen and activation to make sure that they wash away that lactic acid and maybe start refocusing their energies on the biggest assignment that we have. But we are fully aware of the challenges that the traveling might have posed, and as the technical team we will be looking very closely in all the decisions we make. We will also put that into consideration.
With Denis, just to add on to what you spoke about Ronwen, just want to know if you feel that he has a genuine chance of actually winning this trophy if you look at the competition. And then obviously one thing that many of your coaches and players have said in the past is that iron sharpens iron. So do you think that, you know, the presence of Kennedy when he first arrived, yourself, Riyad, you see it's quite a big goalkeeping team, has like really elevated on to completely different heights? Can I ask Coach a question?
Yes, sir.
And then Coach, just an injury update. Obviously, the Bafana players might not play, but just is there any other injury updates?
Not that I can really be specific, because most of the players that were on the injury list have started training, though some of them have not really been at the full-blown stage of training. But at this stage, we are getting closer and closer to a clean bill of health. Obviously, we will still have some niggles here and there. Motobi is still a little bit behind. Divine is still a little bit behind. Keegan is getting closer and closer to the group. And for me, that's basically those. Then you would have some smaller Nyana knocks that you get during training, which we are managing. But I think we are in a very good state as a team now.
Yeah, the point of Ronwen winning the award, of course, he stands a big chance, because looking at his performance at the AFCON was incredible. Leading the team to third spot is massive, and his saves he made and the leadership showed that he has matured and he deserves to be part of it. And of course, what he won with Sundown, the AFL, we all know what impact he made when he was playing, and the league, and also the Champions League, going all the way to the semi-finals. So for me, I think looking at the people he's been, the other goalkeepers that have been drawn with him, I think he stands a better chance. But that's not for us to judge. It's for me, is to be proud of what he has achieved in a very short time that he has been with the club, and of also coming in as a number one at the national team. So it shows the commitment that he's been doing on and off the field. But as you said, iron sharpens iron, and the hard work that he puts in on the pitch, in training, it's more what is shown on the pitch. So it's not only what he's doing with us at Sundown, and it's what he's doing with Ricardo Boss, Veli at the national team. So the competition they give him is what makes him better, and the coaching department also believing in him and giving him the confidence all the time when he's playing. So it's all about him to execute, but the rest is all about putting in the hard work that he's been putting in on training.
Mr. Mailani, please do introduce yourself.
Coach. Coach, I know you mentioned that you want to play Aubrey in the midfield, but just what did you make of him as the left back in the Bafana squad, the performances in these two games? And does it give you a bit of a headache trying to say you're playing here or at left back? And just wanted to get an update. You mentioned that players who are slowly coming back. Lodge, how far is he from matchday squad, and is he probably less?
To be honest, the Aubrey left back situation is not a headache for us. I think it's a big plus, because it's not that we've ruled him out playing at left back. Even in the last match, he came in as a left back, because we also believe he's got a lot that he gives us, even as an 8. So I don't see any headache at this stage, because it just depends on the nature of the game and what we want to achieve on that particular game. And I was very impressed with his performances, and to be honest, I was not even surprised, because He is also very good as a left back. But when you've got a player that can give you two very good positions and you are struggling with a lot of left-footed midfielders, sometimes to have an Aubrey within your squad gives you a very big advantage in that regard. And also on Lodge, I think Lodge is as close as possible to the matchday squad. He has played a friendly that we played against Sekhukhune, and he's been training quite well. It was just unfortunate today he had a minor stiffness in the hamstring. That's why he pulled out early of training. But otherwise, we are happy with the contribution that he might make, and we are also happy with the commitment and the level of professionalism that he's been showing throughout from the beginning of the season when he was still injured. Sipo, also another player that has started full training, and it will only depend on the numbers and everything else, but he can be selected into the team. It's all up to him at this stage, because I think he has also been training very well.
From SABC Sport, my question is to Coach Manqoba. Just firstly, your assessment of the opposition, and two, just on that Ronza theme as well. Obviously, this match comes a week after that nomination. Are you able to reiterate again the significance of continental competitions? Obviously, the more recognition for this award came with what he did with Bafana and AFCON, but in that time as well, he was playing for Mamelodi Sundowns up until the knockout phases of the Champions League.
Maybe first with on Ronwin, I think every South African should be very proud to have a goalkeeper that is based in Africa being nominated for such a prestigious award. I think it speaks volumes about his capacity as a goalkeeper. It speaks volumes about our football as a country, because he performed so well for Bafana, and that is what probably has brought him to where he is. And his contribution, like Denis was saying, in the AFL and the Champions League, because even in the Champions League we were just one match away to arrive at the finals, and his contribution is immense. In all these competitions, he was very instrumental. In the AFL, he was also very instrumental again on saving penalties and helping the team to go all the way to win it. So on that one, I think if you are a South African and you are not proud of a player like Ronwin, then there's something wrong with your head. Because honestly, everybody should be proud of the success that is made by a young boy from PE, from nowhere, to go all the way to represent the rest of Africa in an international awards competition like the Ballon d'Or. So for me, it's exciting. It's really exciting. Then going into the next question, what was it about?
About the opponent.
The opposition is, like I said from the beginning, they possess three elements that are very, very dangerous. They are a team that is very good on set pieces. Their delivery into the near post, unbelievable. And their aggression to attack the ball. And normally, when you play against SADC teams, you would expect that they are physically not as big as what Mbabane Swallows is. But they've got wingers that are all very tall. Their strikers are tall. They're very quick. And when you already have two wingers that are tall, and you've got two fullbacks that are tall, and you've got two centre-backs that are tall, and you've got at least one central midfielder that is tall, already it shows that they are a team that pays a lot of attention on set pieces, and they are doing very well in that space. And the other big factor is their transitional speed from defense to attack. If your rest defense is not very good, they can always punish you. Besides that, probably you would just assume that based on the speed that they possess on transition, that speed and intensity will make the game, or will raise the profile of the game in terms of intensity. However, they do have some areas of weakness which we can capitalize on. I think they're a team that plays in groups, not very compact. They've got a defensive 5 and an offensive 5. and that opens them up a little bit sometimes. But that is also caused by their mentality to play that long ball to the striker, because their goal kicks are predominantly long balls to the strikers or the wingers so that they can play from the second ball. So that stretches their team a little bit. But be that as it may, a game against Sundowns can be completely different from the games that they've played. And maybe the approaches might also be completely different as well when they play Sundowns. They might not be as adventurous and aggressive with both wingers and the striker in their rest attack. Maybe their wingers might drop back and assist the midfield in their 1-4-1-4-1 formation, which they normally employ when they are defending. So it's an area of their game that maybe might change based on the profile of the opposition that they are playing. But we are playing against a very, very decent team, I must tell you.
Coach, just on the advantage, those like maybe of not traveling, playing this match here at home, sort of, to save the players from the troubles of traveling and all that kind of thing. Just speak about the significance of that.
I think that's a very big significance if you consider that we are only seeing Bafana players today. We are only seeing Peter Shalulile today. And if we were supposed to be traveling tomorrow, or maybe traveling today to Swaziland, it could have been even more difficult for us. But the fact that the game is played locally gives us a little bit of a chance to have our players, and also maybe for them to take part in our matchday -1 training without much issues, as compared to when they arrive late last night and maybe they have to travel with the team today, and on matchday -1 maybe they only have that session which could be an activation. But now, because they've been around and it's local, I think it gives us a little bit of a chance in our preparation.
Dennis, I think you possibly, with you and Zwane, are the last survivors of the Champions League win, not mistaken. What sort of advice, talks do you have with the rest of the squad about the know-how of how to win this competition? Because I think that's a lot more to do with mentality and holding your head rather than technical ability or quality, because you guys have that in abundance.
Yeah, as I said earlier on, that we need to approach the game with a good mentality, positive, playing like any other team, not to underestimate your opponents, because they are champions also in Swaziland. So you can't underestimate your opponents, regardless of which league they play in. They are in the Champions League, so that's the message that we pass on to the young players, to the new players who have not been at the Champions League before, and of course to the supporters, because it's very important for the supporters to come in big numbers, because we know that their supporters will come. So we at Lucas, they should come as well and support the team. They mustn't underestimate them, because we've seen things happening before where you underestimate a team and you get knocked out. So for me, it's more important for the players to have the right mentality for the game, play it like you're playing the finals of the Champions League. So it's only being positive that will take us to the next stage.
Yeah, thanks. This is America from City Press. Just on that theme, this question goes to either you, coach, or Denis. On that mentality theme, I mean, how difficult is it mentally having to play these two matches that many see as the biggest two matches so far early in the season? Because having reached the semi-finals of the previous Champions League, you now have to play a two-legged game where anything can happen. It could be either in or out.
To be honest, we've been in this route before. Like I said initially, if you were listening, we have played teams like Chicken Inn at this stage of the competition, and they gave us hard time. We have played teams like Zesco. We know what this competition presents. We played against a team from Congo that not many people knew about. It was called Maniema. I think a season before last. We really struggled against the team in Congo. We were fortunate to go through, maybe because of the goals we scored at home. But the truth of the matter is, when you are playing the Champions League, you just have to respect. Many teams have bent their fingers by not respecting the opponents and thinking because we are playing in the so-called biggest league in Africa, we will walk, we are entitled to the results. It's a mentality that we try our level best within the group to make sure that everybody understands that in the Champions League there are no easy matches. We were all stunned in Congo against Maniema when they scored. And we all thought, what is this now that is about to happen? So again, when you are playing Mbabane Swallows, which has also shown that they are a very good team. Denis spoke about the tournament that they played in Mpumalanga against Chess Galaxy. We saw them against Beira on the 2 matches that they played. They also played against a team from Mozambique called Black Bulls, which I think was a very, very good game for Black Bulls, more than them. But we have looked at probably 4 matches that they have played, and we know what they are capable of. When we say we are not just playing pushovers, we are playing against a very good team that can upset us if the mentality is not right. What the message that we even shared with the players was, if we can't match their energy, we can't match their intensity, we can't match their hunger, we will not win the match. But if we can match all 3, our quality will put us through. Because I still believe we've got a better team against them, but their level of effort will be amazing because of many other reasons that they may be playing for.
Germany from News24. Question is for you, Dennis. I know for this instance, it's a benefit for the club with Mbabane not playing their home games. But as a player, what do you make of this current trend where a number of teams in Africa are unable to play their home games at home? I mean, you look at Charolais, for instance, since they've done so well at the Nations Cup, they still haven't been able to play in Namibia. And the second aspect of that question, for you, I mean, you've been involved in this tournament for years now. How has it changed you as a player, and then what makes this such an important tournament for player development?
Thanks. Of course, every team wants to play at home, to use the home advantage, and as the coach said, the traveling, because those are the things that affect the team. But that goes back to the federations to get more facilities for countries, because if you find a team playing home away from home, it gives the advantage to the other team. But of course, it also doesn't give more opportunities to the people in the other country to watch the game. So for me, I think it's very, very important to try and build more facilities so that we improve football on the continent, because this is our biggest challenge, that we as African countries, we don't have facilities to help football develop. And you go to a country where you have to play on artificial, where it's not right, and it doesn't go well with the players in terms of the quality of the game, and also the injuries are more difficult to deal with in terms of the knees. We saw when Bafana played in Sudan and the player got injured. The injuries are more dangerous than anything else. So for me, I think the most important thing is to get more facilities for players to play the beautiful game, because we're all looking at Europe, but in Europe they play on good pitches, stadiums are proper. So if we are to improve the game on the continent, we need to get the facilities and help also other countries to have more support in terms of home advantage. But as you said on the issue of, what was the second one?
Your experience of playing in the tournament and how?
Yeah, of course, because as we know, Champions League is the biggest tournament on the continent in terms of club, and of course the AFL. Not a lot of people might watch the league, but the Champions League is all over the world. and it gives more advantage to the players to show what they can do. You've seen players when they go play in the semi-finals or the group stages, because now the games are being televised. There's someone out there who's watching. I believe that even Ronwen's nominations, it's because he was playing in the big tournaments. And when you play in the big tournaments and you do well, that's when the world recognizes you and sees talent, because we have a lot of youngsters in the team that if they play in these Champions League games or the national team, they will also be recognized. You never know who might be watching to take him overseas. So it gives a very good advantage to the young ones and to the club to see different parts of the world. And also it helps the national team when they travel to go play in different countries. So they get more experience and exposure. So for me, I think it's very, very important for the clubs to take these tournaments very serious, whether it's the Champions League or the Confederation Cup, and also the national team. So it helps the country to develop in terms of getting results for the national team.
Yes, Kata from the Citizen. Dennis, I think before the Uganda game, a lot of South Africans would sort of walk all over them. But what kind of a team? Are they a team in transition? And what have you seen from them? Because we're level at the top and we still need to go away to play them. And Coach, you did mention that finishing is a concern. Is that something that you had been working on in this FIFA break? And also, what sort of response are you looking from the team from the 2 defeats before the break?
Let me allow Dennis to start.
Yeah, when it comes to Uganda, I think it's a team that is in transition, trying to build a new team after most of us retired from the national team. There were challenges that they missed, I think, 2 AFCONs after that. But that's why I said you never underestimate anyone in football, because in one moment they can surprise you. I don't think anyone gave Uganda a chance to get results here. But the belief that the team had that you can take your opportunities, and it was just 2 opportunities and the team got results here. So for me, it's all about being patient with the players, allowing them to grow and doing what they do best on the pitch, because I think they have a very experienced coach in Uganda, because he's been with, I think, 5 countries or 4 countries, and he's been at 4 AFCONs. So I think that the effort that they put in at Orlando gave them a point, and going home to win. And of course, Bafana has to come to Uganda, which is very difficult. And now they know what Uganda is capable of. And I still wish both teams go to AFCON. It was a very good game. I believe you all watched the game, and it was a very interesting game. But as I said, if you build facilities, they will help your players develop, and that's what Uganda has done. They built a stadium which is allowing other countries also to come and play home games, like Zimbabwe came to play in Uganda. Ugandans got a chance to watch Cameroon play there against Zimbabwe, and Kenya played there with Zimbabwe. So it allows other people to come and enjoy the facilities. But all in all, good 2 teams. Played very good football, and the fight was there. You saw there was a lot of fighting. So for me, I think it was a very good game to watch.
Yeah, on the finishing, I think we did get an opportunity to work in that aspect, but it's not yet at a level where we are panicking, because we've really had very good spells throughout our preparation phase. And if we start to panic, we will cause problems. But of course, you wearing that cap, you know better. You can train the strikers so much, but sometimes they may not score. Having worked very hard on them. So it's very important to understand that sometimes in football, we don't achieve our objectives within a very short space of time. It takes time. And I remember at some stage, one team that I was working with, Coach Mandla in, he was working very hard on set pieces, and we were conceding on set pieces, and we were not scoring on set pieces, and he was panicking. And I said to him, You know, in football, sometimes you get rewarded when you least expect. And the first match we scored 2 goals was against Sundowns. And from both goals came from set pieces. And from there we scored from set pieces probably for 5, 6, if not 7 games in a row. And we were no longer conceding. So in football sometimes, at the moment when you really put a lot of stress and emphasis in something, maybe you induce a little bit more of anxiety, and with a lot of anxiety, you must know precision will be compromised. But if people are calmer and you create a calm environment in what you think at that point in time is not happening right, maybe that's when you create better possibilities to even use the opportunities that you get. I do believe we're still going to score a lot of goals.
Well, now into extra time, we take the last 3 questions. Okay, it's about Lola, Manqoba, anyone else? And then Lawrence with his 3rd question. Thank you.
Coach, I think Ikram has been here for a few weeks now. Just how is he doing? How has he been able to fit into the team, and the chances of him making his debut this week?
I must say he has really done very well. We played him in one friendly. He has only played one friendly match with us and he has scored already. So we are looking forward to us seeing more, because the reason why we brought him here is because we believe he's got goals. And that is what we've been lacking. And to be honest, we still have Peter, who has not scored, whom we know has got goals. We've got Lucas, whom we know has got goals. We've got Maseko, who's got goals. And we've got quite a lot of players that can still give us more. And Atur Sales can still give us something. But we are very excited that Ikram probably even did not get as many game minutes during the FIFA break. Maybe that might give us a little bit of an edge to try to use him for this match as well.
Yeah, so Coach, my question was also around Ikram as well, but maybe if I phrase it differently, that maybe how are you managing him, and in terms of being eager to see him with the group in a significant match, because he was cup tied and then he went away with the national team, didn't get as many minutes as he wanted. Is it something that you then pay special attention to, because obviously with the travel with the national team, you are contemplating whether to use him or not this weekend as well?
Yeah, it's a little bit of a tough one, I must be honest, because you also don't want to induce stress and pressure on him. It's very important that we manage that arrival and that integration very well, because it can also destabilize our change room, because sometimes we as coaches, we tend to look down on what we had before other players arrived. And that makes a very big difference and can cause a lot of problems in the change room, because I do believe when we bring a player like Ikram, it's because we want him to add on what we have, but it's not that we want to minus certain individuals in the team, and it becomes very bad when in the beginning of the season you have not scored goals, and now you want to prioritize making sure that you use particular players and at the expense of other players, because you don't want to kill anyone. You want everybody to still remain with a belief that I still have a chance here, because if you just hand it over to Ikram without him working hard for it, it may also kill the other players that start to now realize that maybe their time in the club is up. So it's very important that you manage that integration very well and not create unnecessary commotion within the group.
Coach, just a lot of people focus on the players that you always sign, like you said, shiny new toys and things like that. But just how much responsibility do you have this season? Because I know you're fond of young players, to find a way to give these talented kids that you have minutes. I saw you guys put one or start, but there's Nkosi, Manqoba that you were raving about in pre-season and things like that. Just your responsibility on developing them, added to getting results.
To be honest, I will prioritize giving players who are playing well at that point in time a chance to play. And that is regardless whether they are youngsters or senior players. Because Kutlwano got a chance to play against Stellenbosch based on the way he played in the first round when he came in. And it was a no-brainer not to give him a start and see what he can offer. And as expected, sometimes young players will be very inconsistent. But in a match where I think he did not have a very, very good match, but he still created a very good chance for Mudau. If had that chance been scored, maybe we'd be talking a different story. But be that as it may, it will always depend on what the players are showing at that point in time. And if you look at how Mapena performed even in the DDC this past weekend, it was exceptionally good. And Kutlwano, who had played in the first team, because youngsters fluctuate like this, did not give the performance that one would have expected. But now Mapena is the one who is coming up. And Mapena, when we started preseason, is the one who was very hot. He was very strong. In the early stages of the season, I remember when we played Sekukune before we left for Austria, Mapena was on fire. And when we went to Austria, he was one player that had shown a lot of good signs, but we fully understand that youngsters do not stay as consistent as you would want them to be. Now Mapena is coming up again. Kutlwano had a game that was not at the level of Mapena, but that does not mean Mapena now is ahead of Kutlwano, because you will be surprised that on Saturday maybe Kutlwano again will claim his place. But with youngsters, you must expect that fluctuation. But sometimes in a club like Sundowns, there is no room for that. There is no room for the fluctuation. So the youngsters must also learn quite fast that they have to stay consistent. But honestly speaking, the youngsters that we have within the first team, I think they are as close as everybody else to play a match.
Can you please allow one last question?
Yes,
Now, can I also ask you?
It's fine.
Why you always come with the last question?
Coach, you've been clear and persistent on saying that playing against teams like Mbabane, these are the teams that are actually the most difficult to win when you expected to win. I just want to check that, rightfully or wrongly, you've been under a little bit of the spotlight from the 2 M10 matches, rightfully or wrongly. Having said that, do you think this may be a match where these guys can get off the mark with a good performance, scoring lots of goals, and to set the tone for the rest of the season?
To be honest, for me, it's never about setting a tone. It's about winning a football match. Because the dynamics of every match will always create problems for you if you're coming with a mentality of thinking you are going to score a lot of goals. The game itself will tell you which direction it wants to take. Because I remember in the MTN 8 in the past, we went to play against Bloemfontein Celtics. And everybody would have thought we are going to try and score a lot of goals and have a very good start in the season, and we lost 5. So it's very important to respect the opponents and not go into a game with a preconceived idea that this is a game where you need to stamp your authority. Go into a game with an open mind, with a lot of respect and humility to play against any opposition with the same respect that you would give if we were playing Ali or we're playing Esperance. We would give the same respect, because a game of football requires that. And worse, on matches where everybody expects you to win. Those are the games that, for me, are the most difficult, because those are the games where sometimes players would lack intrinsic motivation, and they rely more on the coaches and the other senior players like Denis making them aware that, hey, you cannot take this game for granted. Anything can happen. Because I think the suffering of Pirates last year was not because of the quality of the Pirates team against Jwaneng. It was more on the mentality of the players, how much they wanted the match. But when you think, no, you are playing, and it happens a lot even in these cup games like Nedbank Cup, where you're playing against an unknown team, and you will know many teams that have suffered against these so-called smaller opponents because of the mentality, not because these smaller opponents were exceptionally good. But because if the mentality is not right, you end up not doing well. And if there is anything that I would worry about going into this match, because I also think the reason why we did not win against Stellenbosch was not because we did not have the capacity to win. I think the capacity was there, but if the mentality and the level of focus is not where you want it to be, you will always get punished in matches like those. You will always be second on every duel, on every combat. You are always late, and it shows you the state of mind and the level of focus, and maybe how much respect are you giving to the opponent sometimes, because that for me is the most important thing when you are playing matches like this. That is why I always say to people, you will never win a championship if you've got small games. If in your mind you're thinking, no, when I'm playing a small team, we will win this one, you don't be surprised with the teams that do not win the league. It's because they don't play these so-called small teams with the same mentality, same aggression. Because you will beat Sundowns, but you lose against a smaller team. Then Sundowns maybe will make sure that they win the smaller games, and maybe they lose against you. But how many are you? Because this football for me is very close to politics. Because in football we've got so many of the so-called smaller teams and very few of the big teams. So if the big teams beat you, but you win all the small games, you win the league. So the same thing with the Champions League game like this. If you take this game for granted, because there will be so many of these teams in the Champions League, so you might not win the Champions League. But if you beat all these so-called smaller teams, then you've got a better chance to see the light at the end.
One legend used to say, you don't have to be chips to win the league.
Thank you, coach. Thank you, members of the media.